First of all, welcome and hello everybody. Hello, awesome people. How's it going? Let me see. So today I wanted I wanted to tell you something that many people asked me already. Many people asked me why did I choose to actually call you awesome? Am I always saying awesome people? Why do I say that? So let me answer this first question first of all before getting into the more interesting and more complicated questions. So when I say awesome, it's because I mean it. When I say awesome, it's because I believe you guys are really awesome. Because it's not easy to learn a new language. And if you're here watching me, means that you understand English well enough to actually stay here and understand what I'm saying. And for that reason, you are awesome. You're doing something very good for yourself, for your life. And for that reason, I really, really appreciate you and I respect you for that. So this is the reason. Of course, you might want to understand now what is the word awesome. What does it mean? Well, the best thing, my friend, is to look at it online to see what we can find about this word. So let's just follow me here onto this journey, and I want to look for the thesaurus. Thesaurus, I think you can see it here. Yes, it's a very strange word to pronounce, okay, but this website is very useful and I really, really recommend it to you. It's pronounced thesaurus, thesaurus, and it's a tool that once you put a word here, down here, it gives you all the similar words. This way, if you want to find, for example, the word find, the meaning of it, here you have every other synonym or every other similar word to the word find. So in this case, we're looking for the word awesome. And here we go. The word awesome is another word to say amazing. Amazing. And this is another word you want to know the meaning of. I'm going to tell you about it in just a second. Astonishing. Astonishing is something that it leaves you with your jaw dropped like this. This is astonishing. Outstanding. No, I've never used this one. Sorry about that, but I don't really use this. I just don't like it. But I really, really like amazing. This is a word I use a lot. It's also really easy to use and to pronounce, amazing. Just like awesome. Awesome. Let's focus on these two words. Let's understand a little bit. So if we take this word, we can actually separate it in awe and some. Do you agree with me, right? Now, first of all, you probably are already familiar with the word some, right? And some as in a quantity of something, right? Well, what's the word awe? Well, my friend, to look at the word awe, let me see if we can get the help of another beautiful website I use all the time, which is Giphy. Giphy is a very fun way to learn new words because you put a word up here and here you see a lot of images more or less funny related to that particular term. In this case, we're looking at awe. So let's see what we can find about it. Awe. All right. So as you can see, awe is a reaction. What you're looking at here is there are various reactions to the word awe. For example, this one, she says awe, right? Or this one here, probably it's when Emma Thompson won the Emmy Award, I don't know. But anyway, the point is that she said awe, right? She's amazed about it. Or what about this one? This is like without words, like when you are speechless, you are in awe, right? So as you can see, it's like it's a sound you're making, awe. So basically, if you're saying that something is awesome, it means that this sum, this quantity, there's a quantity of awe. So much that you stay like that with like a jaw, like with your jaw open, and you just saying, "Oh, that's awesome." You see, this is the way you understand the words in English, and this is why I like it. This is why I like English. This is why I love to teach this language, because it's always a discovery. You always find words you didn't know before. Speaking of which, I always tell you you're awesome, and I also told you now that I like the word amazing. Let's look at the word amazing. Let's see what this word means, right? So, as you can see, this word, let me see if I can, yes, I can zoom in a little bit. You can see that this word ends in ing. If a word ends in ing, it means that we are talking about an action, a verb. And this verb, it can only be amaze, to amaze. You can see this for any other word. For example, astonishing, to astonish. Outstanding probably, to astound, which I've never used before anyway. Breathtaking, to breathtake, or better, to take your breath, which is another way to say that something is awesome because it takes your breath away. But anyway, now you understand that every time a word ends in ing, this is because it's an action, and the action is the one that we need to understand. So, to amaze. Let's put to amaze here. Let's look at the images, and unfortunately these images here, that don't really help us a lot, right? Okay, but we can also see that this word amaze is made up of two words. This is another thing this is another trick. When you find a word that begins with the letter A, what comes after is generally another word. So this is true for many words. For example, I'm sure you're familiar with the word again. Again, right? If you want to understand the meaning of again, you have to take the word take the letter A away, and then you understand again is something you receive. Again, you receive double, you receive twice, and therefore again is another word to say another time, right? Now, following the same reasoning, we want to find the word maze and see what it means. As soon as we put the word maze, I see here a lot of things that I recognize. These are labyrinths or mazes, as you can see here. Okay. Now, you have to know that this that we saw here, for example, again, goes to this before the word, goes to double up the meaning, double up the image. So, again, in fact, is one more time, amaze is something that gets you into a state of confusion. To amaze is to confuse somebody, to make it inside, to make that person, to put that person inside a maze. For that reason, if something is amazing, it means that it's a little confusing, like, wow, what's going on here? That's the kind of reaction, wow, amazing. All right, now, I've been speaking a lot, and I haven't even started to look at your questions. This was something that I wanted to tell you about. So now let me look at the comments, if there are any comments, so that we may be ready to start. Irina, hello Irina, good afternoon to you, and I'm so glad to see you here. If you guys are live, just write on the chat box. If you guys are watching this as like a replay, then just drop a comment down here, say just hello, or if you have a question, just put the question down here in the comments. or in the chat box if you're looking at live, if you're watching it live, because we are here to answer every question you guys have. So let me see the first question I received, because by the way, I haven't told you yet that if you want to send me a question, you can either write it up here over the chat box, or in alternative, in a better way, is actually to find the link down here, down this video. There's a nice link. If you press the link, you can submit your question, and once I receive your question, I can prepare in advance your answer, so that when we are coming live, I'm going to give you a fuller and more detailed explanation of your question. So I'm gonna give you a better answer, in other words. So do use the form down here. It's very easy, and well, that's it. It's very easy to use. And now let's go on with the rest of this beautiful live Q&A session. So the first question I received is from Hugo. Hello Hugo, you were with us last time, and at the very last minutes of our last live session last Saturday, you asked me, how do I use in, on, at? And I promised I would have answered to you first thing in the next live session, which is today. And here we are ready to answer. So these are prepositions, all right, or I like just to call them directions, because if you look at it from an image point of view, these words are just directions. The word in is a direction, or like a point in space. On is another point in space. At is another point in space. But to better understand these words, we have to put them with their opposites, because only if you understand them in couple with the opposite word, then it's gonna be really clear to you. So let's look at the word in, and let's use, of course, our beautiful little piece of paper that is always very, very easy to understand. So what is the opposite of the word in? Well, maybe you answered already, and if you did answer, good on you. Probably you guessed right. The opposite of in is out. Yes. So now I'm going to show you the image of the word in, so that then you will also understand the image of the word out, so that when if you ever have to remember one of these two words, you just think of the opposite one, and then the other one just comes straight away up. So let's say that this is a box. All right, it's a beautiful box. I am an artist. I know I'm an artist. Thank you very much. So this is a beautiful box, and if you say in, means you are talking about something that is inside, or you're going in, or I am in a room, or this arrow, this beautiful arrow, this arrow is in the box because it's inside this space. For this reason, you say that is in. Now, this is already clear, right? Because I mean, like, if you want to know what's the meaning of out, you just have to take this one and change the direction of the arrow to understand that out is just the opposite. Out is exactly when something is out of something. You see how artist I am? I'm an artist. Thank you so much. I know, yeah, they're very terrible. I know. If I have more time, maybe I'm more creative with my designs. But anyway, I guess you understand. So in is something that is inside. Out is something that is outside. So if I say I go out, you are actually meaning that you go out of a place, right? If you say I go in, you're talking about something that, well, basically you're saying that you're going inside a place. Very easy concept. I'm sure that this is enough as an explanation. If you have any doubts, just write it down here in the comments below. Meanwhile, let's get on with the other part of the question, because the second part is on. How do I use on? This is very interesting, because last time, my friend, we talked about the word on coupled with the word off. And let me just give you a nice and simple recap of these words, because if you understand the word off, then you also understand the word on. Now, as we said before, we said that on is something that is moving, right? Whereas off is something that has finished the movement. So the problem though is, and if you don't really understand this part, I'm going to put a link maybe down here with a link to our previous session where I explained the difference between on and off in great details. But probably your other question now is, all right, I understand that, but why do we say the cat is on the table? Like, why do we say that the cat is on the table? I mean, what does the cat on the table has to do with, well, what does it have to do with this movement, right? Well, to understand that, we need to couple the word on with the word over. Now we have the word on and the word over, right? We have kind of understood the word on. So let's move on to over now. And then I'm going to make you understand the two together, right? So the word over is a point in space. A nice image of it is this. You know, this is a point in space. So, for example, if I say the brush pen, you know, so our friend brush pen is here with us, right? So the brush pen is over the table. I'm saying that the brush pen is positioned, all right, is positioned over the table. And that's exactly what I mean, right? I'm not saying anything else but that. I'm just talking about its position in time, in space. Its position in space. So if something is over, let me see, for example, the glass, all right? Now I'm going to put this glass maybe out of this room, all right? Maybe I'm gonna put it over the balcony, all right? I'm gonna use the word over because I'm just telling you where is it? I'm just telling you the position. If I say that the glass is on the balcony or on the table, then I'm not just talking about the position. I'm just saying that the glass is available for you over the table. I hope you can understand this part, because it's basically the difference. It's not easy to understand, but if you understand this little thing, then it's easy. So why do we say that the cat is on the table? Because the cat is usually, or better, because it's pretty hard to define the position of a cat. Sometimes a cat is here, and then it moves over there, and then it moves over there, right? And so you can't define where exactly it is. So if you're looking for the cat, it's because you're looking for the cat. You need to see where it is. And if you need to see where it is, you need something that is available. So you're gonna say the cat is on the table. That's how you, that's the difference, okay? Over Instead, it's used to explain a position. So just like I used it before, it's over here, it's over there. When you say that something is over here, you're talking about its position. So for example, over here, there's the name Hugo, right? And over there, there's a wooden door. So I'm indicating something. For that reason, you see, I'm using this little, well, actually I'm using my finger as the pointer, as this pointer here, to indicate the position of something. So over my right, there's a lamp in the background. Over my left, over the extreme left, there's a plant. So this is how you use over. If you are using on, it's because that thing is useful to you. For example, if it was very dark and you needed to see, so maybe you ask me, where is the lamp? So I say the lamp is on my right, because right now that lamp is useful to us because we want to turn the light on, right? And for that reason, we're gonna say the lamp is on the right. But if it wasn't useful to us, if it was just a description, this is when you're gonna use over instead of on. And here you go. Now, lastly, we have the word at, which is over the right hand side, right here, right? It's over here. So the word at is coupled with which word is coupled with the word at? Well, there isn't any particular word that is coupled with it, but we can say to understand better that it's coupled with to, because they are opposites. You see, at is a position. Let me put it on the left, okay? On the left, I'm going to put the image of at, which is very similar to the image of Google Map. So this should be a pin, okay? I'm going to show you later what I mean. Maybe like this. Here you go. To is a movement. So you're using the word to indicate a movement. You're using the word at to indicate that something is not moving. So the easiest example is I am at and then a location, for example, the gym. All right, so I am at the gym. I am at the store. I am at the, shoe store. Or to, I go to the shoe store. I go to the market. I go to the gym. So to is a movement, whereas at is a place, is only for places. All right. Now probably you're asking me, can I say I'm at my house? No, you can't, because when you are using at, it's because you're talking usually about public places. So at the library, right? At this place, at this other place. It can also be used in phrasal verbs. For example, if you look at something, you're using the word at, the preposition at, because you are not moving, you are staying in a position, in a particular position, and from that position you're looking. And for that reason, you look at something. For example, now I look at you. Yeah. Yes. Whereas to is only used for movement. In fact, believe it or not, when you're using it with verbs, this is exactly why you use the word to. For example, before we looked at to amaze, right? Why did we say that? Why do we use the word to indicate an action? Because an action is movement. And for that reason, because an action is movement, to indicate that that word is an action, you're using the preposition to. And here you go, my friend. I answered your question. You're welcome. And if you have any other questions, you are always more than welcome to just put them down here and just let me know if I was clear enough. Irina says, so if over is used for a position, why do we say it's over for something that is come to an end, that has come, by the way, that has come to an end? That's a very good question, Irina. So, if something has come to an end, then you're gonna say over because it's a position in time, you can say. I mean, when you say that something is over, means that is not here anymore, is over. Because over, as we said, is just a position, it's not useful anymore, so it's over. Over is also used to indicate when something is beyond something, right? For example, we can say that over the laptop that I see in front of me, there's a wall, right? And I'm using the word over to indicate something that is beyond. Over is just a position, and when you use it, you mean that something is over, means that that's it. It's not on anymore. If you look back at these things here, on is something that is moving, but when something is over, it's just a position. It's over there. It's not here anymore. So I hope this was clear, although it was a very interesting question. Very few people actually asked me this question, so congratulations for asking me. There's no such thing as a bad question. There are only stupid answers. So if you feel, if you have a question, just ask that question. It's better to ask and then think, oh, well, that was a useless question, than not to ask. And then maybe you think later that you should have asked. I should have drank. I should have drank a little, and now I have just drank. So, Irina also says because it doesn't exist anymore. Yes, exactly. It's not that it doesn't exist. It exists, but it's not on. It's not useful anymore. It's just something that has happened. It's there, not useful anymore. Once again, let me just be very clear on this. If I say that the glass is on my hand, I say that it's on my hand because I want to drink it. I want to use it. I want to use it. So I say the glass is on my hand. Where is the glass? Oh, it's on my hand. All right. So since I want to use it, I use it. But then I put it back over my hand. I don't say on anymore because now it's over. Like it's over my hand, but it's not useful anymore. So when something finishes, it's when something ends. Not finishes, when something ends. When something ends, it doesn't mean that that thing doesn't exist anymore. It just means that it's over. So you put it aside, it's just it's back being just a simple position, and this is it. So thank you for the explanation. Now it's more clear to me. Oh, it's a pleasure, Irina. Okay, and now let's get on with the second question, because I think that the second question is still yours, isn't it? Yes, that's right. Yeah, because you asked me this question before. Actually, know that you asked me this question at least 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I couldn't get to answer to your question. So here you are. And your question is, I'm late, I'm in late, which ones is correct? So my first thing is just a correction. The question is which one is correct, because you are asking the only one thing that is correct between late and in late. So you should have said, I'm in late, I'm in late. Which one is correct? Now, let me answer, right? So, they are both correct. I'm late, I'm in late. They are both correct. To better explain myself, once again, I'm going to use this paper here, but we're going to turn it around to a nice blank page here, because I want to show you what actually means to be late or in late. So for this, I'm going to draw a line. Let's say that this is a timeline, right? So a timeline that goes from the left to the right. When you are, let's say that now it's 8 p.m. Actually, let's say that you have an appointment at 8 p.m., right? But it's now 7:30, and maybe you're to get to your appointment. Maybe you have to drive for 40 minutes by car, but at 7:30 you are still home. So in that case, after 8, this is considered late. So if it's 7:30, you're still home, well, then you are late. You are late because even though it says it's still 7:30, but you're still home and you take 40 minutes to reach your appointment. So for that reason, you will arrive to your destination at 8:10, and for that reason, you are late. Now, late is an attribute, right? So you are late, to be late, okay? So, for example, I am tall, okay? I am short, I am fat, okay? I am late. So it's just an attribute, and it's the realization of a state. Of a state you are, and you are in the state of being late. Now, your question though asked me, I'm late, I'm in late. There's a difference, because if it's 7:30, you are late, but you're not in late, because as we saw before, in means when you are inside something, right? So for that reason, you are not in late, you are late. But let's say that you actually reach your appointment at 8:10, well, then you are in late, because you are inside the period of late. For that reason, you are in late. And here you go. I hope that this explanation was fine. Now, let me see in the comments if I see something else. I also see a few more people joining us. So welcome you guys. How you doing today? Let me just look at the comments. It says no, that's it. There are no other comments. So let me just add something more, because let's say that you're not late. Okay, you arrive at 8. If you arrive at 8 p.m., which was the time of your appointment, are you on time or in time? So that's my question. Are you on time or in time? Now, if you arrived at exactly 8 p.m., then you are on time. On time. Once again, because on is something that is available, is there. So for example, now I am on. So if you get there at 8 p.m., you are on time. Yeah, good on you. Let's say that you arrived at, I don't know, maybe you arrived at 8, no, let's say 8:05. Okay, so you arrived at 8:05. Now usually when it comes to an appointment, there's always kind of a window of time you are still considered in time. If you are in time, means that you are inside the period of time considered alright, considered good to present yourself to an appointment. So let me just give you some other references. You're in time if you arrived at 8, if you arrive at 7:55, you're still in time. You are in late if you arrive at 8:10. That's in late because of course is outside the period considered in time. So I really hope that this cleared a little bit the situation. Now you can better understand these prepositions here that they look confusing, but if you look at them from the perspective of an image, then they are just way easier to understand. There's always going to be an explanation, like an imagine in your mind. There's always going to be something you can imagine, sorry. There's always going to be something you can imagine that will make you understand this preposition on, in, and, off, over, out, at, to. As long as you look at them from the perspective of an image, very easy. They're very easy to understand. So, now, we're done with this question and we're looking at the next one. Alexander, hello Alexander, how you doing, my friend? I hope you're fine. If you are watching this live, just drop me a comment. If you're not watching live, just drop me a comment. Anyway, just let me know you're here. And this is your question, my friend. So, why do you say let's take a selfie and not self? This is a very interesting question. It's a pretty strange question. So let me clarify. Let me understand if I got your question right. So you probably heard taking a selfie, like when you are using your phone and you want to take a picture of yourself, right? And so your question is, why do you say selfie and not self? So the reason of this is a historical reason. Once upon a time, before we used to take selfies, if you took an image of yourself, that was called a self-portrait. To better understand this, let's go online. Let me go online. Let me make you understand this thing. So, if I say self-portrait, this is what I'm talking about. Here you go. As you can see, when I say self-portrait, what comes out is like a portrait, which is, it comes from French. Basically, it means to draw. Okay, to draw something like you see it. And a self-portrait is an image of yourself. As you can see, these are all very common, very famous examples. This is probably the most famous example of a self-portrait, which is from Vincent van Gogh. And as you can see, this is it. Now, when we started to use this on a daily basis, because it was part of our smartphones, we had a built-in front camera, so we could actually take pictures of ourselves. Well, my friend, then these things, they became very popular. And because it became very popular, the word self-portrait was just too long. So we started to call it selfie, because whenever you add this IE at the end of a word, or maybe you make it end in Y or something like that, if it's a noun, it becomes like a a nicer way to call it. So if you say selfie, it's just a nicer way to say self-portrait. Your question is very interesting, and it doesn't pertain only to the word self. It also pertains to another word that is very, very used, and I know that you don't know the meaning of the movie. The word is movie. Even the word movie has a very similar origin. You see, we are now used to call movie, which is basically a film, but the word movie has a very interesting origin, my friend, because it comes from moving pictures. And as you can see, when the cinema wasn't the cinema yet, it was just a very small machine. It was a very small machine that you put very close to your eyes, and then you spun the wheel, the inner wheel, and this thing made the picture inside moving. So you had like this spinning image that was moving because you were spinning a wheel, and because of that, the image inside, it looked like it was moving. So for that reason, they started calling them moving pictures, which are pictures that are moving. So when in time this very little object became very popular, and it started to become more and more popular, more and more people started to produce these moving pictures, and basically the era of the cinema started. This is when the word moving picture was just too long, and because it was too long, people started to call it movie, because it was just simpler to say. It was a very easy way to define it, and it was a very personal thing. For example, this is also true for name. Maybe you know somebody that is called Peter, right? People may call it Petey. It's not very common as the word pity, but it does exist, right? And pity is just another word for Peter. And this is true for Robert becomes Bob, and Bob becomes Bobby, for the same reason. It's always something nice. It's a nicer way to call somebody. So, I hope I answered your question. Let me know if you have other questions. We can put it right here over the chat box as usually. And now let's get on with the next one. The next question is from Jody. Hello Jody, how you doing? And the question is, what's the difference between broad and wide? Okay, so here we are talking about attributes. So what's the difference between something that is broad and something that is wide? Well, first of all, let's understand the images, right? Because it's all about the images. Of course, it's all about the images. The image of something wide is, well, to imagine something wide, you can think of the sea, the ocean. That's wide. It's a surface, it's flat, and it's very large. That's wide. The wide is exactly that. Broad has to do with a 360-degree kind of space. So the main difference is that wide refers to something that is flat and very large. Broad refers something that is three-dimensional, and it's becoming bigger and bigger, so it's broad. Think of the word broadcast, for example, which is another word for radio. Now, when you say that the radio is on, the radio is broadcasting, And for example, now I am broadcasting because I'm casting, and to cast means to launch. Imagine when you go fishing, all right? So you're casting, all right? You're casting the hook into the water, and if I say broadcast, I'm casting very broadly the signal so that although I am in Spain, I can reach you wherever you are around the globe. And this is especially true for radios. Radios are usually the tools to do broadcasts, but nowadays with the internet, everybody can actually broadcast from your computer because, well, thanks to the internet, you can do that. So I hope that this explains the difference between broad and wide. But let me give you some more examples. So we said that the ocean is wide. So we can't say that the ocean is broad because the ocean is kind of a two-dimensional image, whereas the word broad is a three-dimensional one, right? But we say that the radio has a broad signal or not. Your thoughts, what you're thinking during the day, can be broad, right? It's not wide because you're not thinking in two dimensions. You're not thinking on a flat line. When you're thinking, you're expanding, right? So for example, your vocabulary, of course, the more you learn English, the more it becomes wide, the more it becomes extended, but actually it becomes broader. That's the proper word, because the image of a broader vocabulary is a vocabulary that extends on every dimension. Okay, so not just like this, but like this. That's broad. All right, so let me know if this question was enough. And hello Lolly, hello from France, how you doing today? What's the difference between RP and POSH pronunciation? Oh, wow, okay. That is a very interesting question, Lolly. This is a question that I wished that you made this question using the form so that I could have prepared in advance, because I usually make 15 minutes kind of streaming sessions, and I'm going to try to help you with this question in 3 minutes. I'm not too sure if I can answer in 3 minutes though, but let's try. So to answer this question, let's go once again online, because this is the best place to start. If I say RP, RP stands for received pronunciation. And received pronunciation, now forget about all of these little things here, it's very complicated. I just wanted to show you the word, because otherwise it was pretty hard to imagine without having it written, right? Now, received pronunciation is basically the pronunciation that has been received, as in that has been accepted from the vast majority of people. That's the received pronunciation. We're talking about Britain. When we're talking about the vast majority of people, we're talking about Great Britain, when they decided on what kind of pronunciation bring forward, because there were a lot of dialects, even more than today. They decided to take a standard English, and they chose to, if I'm not mistaken, they chose the London kind of accent to define, or the Oxford accent to define what is the received pronunciation, so the accepted pronunciation, and everybody to speak correct, proper British English, they were supposed to speak that particular accent. POSH is different. POSH is an attribute, and we can talk about POSH pronunciation or just POSH in general. Now, something POSH is something that is perceived to be too too formal. That's it. Too formal. So let me actually write these things onto a piece of paper. This way we can be clearer. All right, here we go. So RP, we said that it's received pronunciation. POSH is an attribute that means very formal. So something can be posh without being, it doesn't need to be the pronunciation to be posh, whereas RP is only pronunciation. Now, a posh pronunciation is basically the pronunciation spoken by the accent spoken by the elite people in Britain. But this is something that is back in the day, like it's not so important nowadays, and the word posh nowadays has a broader meaning, so that it can be used to define anything that is a bit too formal, a bit too elegant, a bit too uptight than necessary. Whereas received pronunciation is the standard British pronunciation. It's not mine. I don't speak within RP. All right, because I haven't lived in Britain long enough to receive myself this kind of pronunciation. I've been living for most of my time in America and in Australia. So for that reason, my pronunciation is a little bit more mixed, but I don't have much of a received pronunciation. I can tell you what's the difference, how you can recognize it anyway. But I think that this can be a topic for the next live. Actually, next Saturday I'll be live again for another session together, and I'm going to dive a little deeper into this topic, if you agree with me, and I'm going to answer to your question, Lolly, saying what's the difference between RP, or British accent, and American accent. Because having lived in America for a while, I can definitely give you a lot of differences between the two accents. And anyway, we're going to understand, and this always later on in our next session, that an accent is not so important, and you should want to focus on pronunciation, but not necessarily the received pronunciation, just a good pronunciation. This is a very good topic, and we're going to talk about it in the next live session. We're going to answer to what's the difference between pronunciation and accent. So this will be the topic from the next time. Let me just double check in the messages if I missed anything here. Thank you very much for your crystal clear explanation. Oh, it's my pleasure, Lolly. It's been a pleasure to see you, and it's been a pleasure to be here with you all, guys. Next time, we're gonna go ahead with this beautiful topic of pronunciation. Is very important, and we're gonna talk about it next time. So you guys have a wonderful Saturday.